Hello and welcome to the Battle in Barrow and another D&D campaign recap video, continuing playing Nightstar Terror. Before we jump into it, I actually want to go over two important bits of information that I deliberately left out of the last video, because I wanted the last video just to be about the tension and the dread and the excitement of the siege, but there are two important bits of information that happened that I deliberately left out that I feel I should cover now quickly, because they're important for the rest of the campaign. The first of which is when the players first entered the hall on the homestead, they noticed that there were some wonderful tapestries there, and plus one that sort of stuck out from the others. This was almost geometric in style, and it was quite good that I run Trouble in Threshold, because in that they come across a Tarkan pyramid, and they are sort of pyramids on this tapestry, two pyramids on this tapestry, and instantly the players guessed what this is. This is, and spoilers if you haven't played this, so if you don't want to listen to spoilers, stop listening now or skip ahead a few minutes, but it is in fact a map that they need to work out how to use and show the way later on. They also, because of their knowledge and previous knowledge, they can guess that it is Tarkan in origin and style, and that is why when it come to the end and they use the suggestion spell on the Goblin King to say that what they're looking for isn't there, because they guessed they're looking for something. They knew that they were looking for this tapestry. They guessed rightly they're looking for this tapestry, so they could actually really supplant that information that the tapestry is not here. It wasn't just the item isn't here, it was the tapestry, which is why it works so well. So the tapestry is going to become quite important. The other little bit of information I left out was Gran talking about the cheval, which in Mystara, cheval is a centaur that can turn into a horse, and there is a great powerful cheval about, and she gives information about going to a hill on midnight, standing on one leg and calling out his name in an effort to get some help. And so that was a small bit of information that will become more apparent as the stories go on. But now let's crack on with this story. So our adventurers last time decided they were going to check out the homesteads in an effort to find out basically what's going on, what happened, see if they can ascertain what's going on, and to find Peter's missing brother Stephen. So the first one they hit up is Hokel. And at Hokel, they noticed that it's been attacked and destroyed. The ranger uses his sort of skills to survey the area and notices it's been done on the 4th or 5th. Now, they started this adventure on the 7th. This has been done for quite a while. There are no survivors here. They then travel north to Ilyanka, which is where the refugees had come from last time. And it is here that they encounter the now crazed Captain Calanus, who has been traumatized by the attack and watching his friends and family murdered, and he sort of attacks them with his crossbow, and when they get too near him, with his axe. They manage to subdue him, knock him out and tie him up. They put him on the back of a donkey and travel further north to I believe it's pronounced Silo. So here is another lumber camp, and they work out this was attacked about 2 days before the siege that they were taking part in. Also, Ilyanka, I believe, was attacked around the night they set out on the 7th. So it's all happening around the same sort of time. Still no sign of Stephen, so they head back south. They're going to go back to the homestead. On the way, they're going to check out Cherkas. And again, this has been totally sieged, and the ranger works has done about the same time as Hokel, around the 4th and 5th. So they return to camp, taking Calanus with them, who will get healed, and with a bit of rest, he should be okay. There they decide the next plan of action is probably to try and find the goblin lairs and sort of hunt for Stephen there. When they spoke to the bandits last session, the bandits sort of said that they knew of only one lair near him, and that was to the south of their camp. So the players set out from there. They take the path through the forest where the bandit camp is and head south, and they soon come across the Red Blade Goblin Lair. On the entrance to the lair, they see the Goblin King, the one that they convinced that what he was looking for wasn't there, and he's been executed, his throat slit, and with that they enter the cavern system. And it stinks of goblin, that's for sure, but it's empty. They can't hear anything. There's no sounds. There doesn't appear to be any goblins anywhere in this place. But nevertheless, they continue searching through. It's a bit of a warren of, goblins. A goblin warren. But they eventually come to a door that is locked. Written on the door is guard dogs, spelt incredibly bad. I think dogs was spelt D-A-W-G-Z, and guard had none of the language that guard normally has, none of the letters that guard normally has in it. So well done there, goblins. They try the door, it's locked. They don't think about going back and searching the dead guy on the front, leader. He probably might have had a key. We don't know. We'll never know. But anyway, they have a listen. They can't hear any dogs inside, but they smash into it, and they are presented with a load of treasure, which is good. But also, there are guard dogs in the form of 6 giant shrews, which immediately start attacking the players. And believe it or not, this was a bit of a challenge, this battle, more so than what I thought. I thought they'd just steamroll over it, but yeah, they got the shrews put up a good fight. Once they were dealt with, they see that there are a few tapestries in the room, which kind of begins to lend credence to the fact that they're searching for a tapestry. There are some terracotta jars that they ignore, they just contain red wine. And there is a large ruby on the cushion. Apparently this could be worth 1,000 gold pieces. So Witchy Poo picks that up. They then come to a wooden chest. Now, they've had some bad experiences with trapped chests, both of them. So the players play rock, paper, scissors to decide who's going to open it. And unfortunately, Ranger is the one that gets the job of checking it for traps and opening it. And there's a bit of a banter there between them. Kind of Witchy Poo laughing at the Ranger for this. He makes his trap check and fails, but he doesn't know he's failed. He just knows he hasn't found any traps. So he opens it and the chest is indeed trapped. But in a little twist of events, what the chest does, the trap triggers, is it makes the ruby explode, which of course Witchy Poo has, so she takes some damage, 2d6 points of damage, which is quite a lot when you're a magic user. The Ranger takes none, and there is a bit of laughing. Inside they get some, I forget what is in, I actually forget what is in there. There's a load of money in there, and a potion of diminution. So that's nice. With that, they leave the lair and decide where to head out next. Now, before they'd left the homestead, Stephen had said perhaps if you go east to the Lake of Lost Dreams, that is where the elves of the area hang out, they may know where there are some goblin lairs. So what they decide to do from their current point on the map is to head northeast towards the island of Lost Dreams, the lake, and hopefully encounter some elves. So they set out, they don't get lost, and on the way they stumble upon and discover the Viper Goblin Lair. Now this lair was going to be the one that the elves were going to tell the players about, but they discovered it out of my planned sequence, so they enter that lair. Now this lair begins to look a bit empty like the previous one. But it's not long before they round the corner and come across a barricade, and as they get near the barricade, they're pelted with arrows and spears by goblins on the other side. So they have to somehow get over the barrier to kill the goblins, and they've got a newt for this. Witchy Poo had deciphered another spell from a spell book she got ages ago, and she'd been looking at it, trying to decipher it, and it's gained her Dragon's Breath spell. So she casts that upon Newt, who flies over the barricade and proceeds to Dragon Breath the goblins on the other side. Not killing them all, but killing enough so some goblins retreat. Again, this is well, as you'd expect, a goblin lair. So there is windy corridors, and they soon come through to what is where the leader of the goblins are, and they get their name because this chamber is full of snakes. It's like the Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark with all the snakes in. It's kind of like that, but what they realise is most of these snakes are just idols or statues of snakes. There are some live ones here that the leader of the goblins kind of uses missile weapons and throws them at the players. Now the players, with the ranger, and he's got charmed animal abilities and so forth, they decide to not go near the snakes, and the snakes don't attack. After a while, the goblins begin to lose their morale and make a bolt down the escape alley. There was an escape route. The players go down there, and there is a trap there that one of them falls into and takes a bit more damage, and they come out pretty much in the same area, but by the time they've got there after climbing out the trap, the goblins have long absconded. They don't, of course, find Stephen in the lair or any tapestries, so now they're kind of at a loss, but they remember Elves Lost Lake, we can go there, they will have the information to help us. So they go to continue north east to the lake, and it's not long before they discover it. It's quite a big thing. But on the way, I should point out, going back earlier in my typical fashion where I remember things after the fact, before we went to the Red Goblin there, they actually went to Sir Gavani? Why are these places got names I can't pronounce? I apologise. Sergenvi, which is another homestead. On the way there, in the distance, they saw an amazing black stallion watching them, and their horses stopped riding for a bit and sort of seemed to talk to this big horse. And after a while, this big horse seemed content with what their horses were saying and left them alone. Of course, when they went to this homestead, it had been burnt and razed to the ground. Possibly on the same night, the ranger sort of ascertained, looking at the evidence, the same night as the raid they were in, the siege that they were in. So what they realised is, whilst they sort of convinced that goblin there was nothing in their homestead that was worth searching for, he'd obviously moved on with his party to this homestead and razed it to the ground. So in some small way, they felt a bit responsible for this one getting razed to the ground. They could have prevented it, but they didn't, and I love that. On the way to see the elves, they come across a ogre. This is a random event, and they try and reason with the ogre, trying to escape combat. Unfortunately, due to reaction checks, it doesn't happen, and a combatant goes off, which they end up defeating the ogre and carry on their way. So anyway, we're back to the Island of Lost Dreams. I love my I'm like a really bad Quentin Tarantino storyteller, telling things out of sequence. Hopefully one day I will get better at this. So we're back at the Island of Lost Dreams, and they do come across some elves, but they're looking a bit sort of sad, and they're staring at the island in the middle of the lake. The elves are led by a Goridel, even, if I can pronounce things properly today. And he lets them know that they're a bit sad because the dwarves from the north had gifted upon them an amazing sort of statue that was really important to the elves, but the Pixies on the island have stolen it and they would like it back. They can't go to the island, of course, because the Valalia elves, who these are, believe that it is haunted by some terrible creature and it's taboo for their race to set foot on the island. The Pixies, of course, live on the island and have stolen this amazing statue. They asked the players if they could help, if they could build a raft and go onto the island. The players agreed to this in an effort if they knew where any goblin lairs are. So with this, they build a raft, which takes a few days actually of felling trees and fashioning a raft. But that means they do get a chance to heal up and regain spells. It's because the elves have, I'm using the Yale Geek method of rest and so forth. So they camp in the wild, but because the elf camp is, well, it's almost like an inn, they get what is considered a full long rest. So they're healed up. So as they're crossing the lake, all of a sudden, each of the players feel little tiny darts hit them, and they take 3 hit points worth of damage each from nowhere, and they hear sounds, and they quickly realise they're being attacked by invisible pixies. Now, whilst I think the pixies have 1 hit point each, so what they try and do is not kill the pixies, but due to 1 hit point each, that doesn't happen, and they end up killing them, even though it's a bit of a tough fight because you can't see what you're aiming for. Luckily, the ranger's wolf companion is able to sense them without seeing them, with sights, with hearing and smell, so he guides the players where to hit them, and so forth. And this is the first time Witchy Poo busts out her dagger +1 that she found way back at the start of this whole adventure. Which she's never done because she can't really cast magic when she can't see where to aim it. After that, they reach the island. Now, at this point, I pass Witchy Poo a note, and this basically reads, "Your alignment has changed. You are now evil." Or chaotic evil, if you like. And the note explains that this doesn't change instantly. You sort of get more and more irritable and grumpy until it changes. If you're on the island for more than a week, it will be a change. Also, if you leave the island, that doesn't change you back. And that sort of begins instantly. That's some good role playing. Now, normally the players have got on really well and work together really well, but now all of a sudden that dynamic has changed. Now the ranger sort of out of character knows something's happened, out of game knows something happened because he saw me pass the note. But in character, he's trying to work out why Witchy Poo has become grumpy and irritable all of a sudden. They explore the island a bit and come across the pixie village, but there are no pixies. They're either invisible or they've scrambled up into their houses. Now, what is going on here is the island has been cursed. There is a magical effect that radiates from a black mirror in the this temple in the centre of the island. So they continue searching and come across this temple. Now, the temple itself is a colonnaded temple that's open, and in the middle there is a hole leading down. There were sort of stone statues at each corner. These have all now been smashed, but on one of these is the statue they're looking for. So they pick this up, but the curiosity luckily gets the better of them, because if they'd left the island at this stage, Witchy Poo would have remained evil. So they descend down. Witchy Poo's getting more and more just nasty, really, is the way to put it. And so at first she drops down and explores and instantly gets ambushed by a horde of skeletons, which is the first thing in the ladder down. At first, Ranger, he's had enough of her, so decides to walk away, leaving her there. So she's in combat, he's not. Has a change of heart, and they go down and dispatch the skeletons. There's a lot, and it's hard. They soon come across another ladder leading down, and Witchy Poo is being cocky, arrogant, yada yada yada. And so as she's about to go down the ladder, Ranger pushes her, kicks her down, and she has to make a dex save. She gets a natural 20, so she lands on her feet, no damage whatsoever. Ranger grumbles and decides to come down the ladder. The ladder is trapped. It is electrified, even though electric doesn't really exist in this world, magic electric. And he takes some damage and falls to the floor. They then continue along the temple, this level of the temple. There is a door at the end. They try the door and the door's trapped, and some darts fly out and do a little bit of damage, but luckily they dodge out the way of them and so don't take much damage at all. In the next room, it is a big large hallway with pillars and 2 monster statues, and at the other end is this black mirror. Now the ranger misheard me when I said black mirror. He thought there was a door at the end, so he takes a dash action to run straight through the room to get to the door to leave Witchy Poo behind, because she's getting more and more. You can sense that something's building up and going to happen. And because he misread it, he's run straight into the mirror where he looks at a visage of himself, and it's all twisted and corrupted, and there's just a black nothingness behind him. But as he runs past, the statues, of course, aren't statues, they are gargoyles, and they instantly spring to attack him, which he's mortified that he's misheard and there's no door, and now he's in combat with 2 statues and a rather grumpy, annoyed Witchy Poo. It's not really jumping in to help to begin with. It's a hard fought battle. 2 gargoyles are quite difficult, especially in the hit points I had assigned to them. They're quite high. It's a bit of a challenge, which was enjoyable, but they did it. They did it, and they quickly realise that this mirror is not quite right and decide correctly to smash it, which they do. And as soon as they smash it, it's almost like instantaneous. Witchy Poo's back to normal. As they climb out, all the Pixies are back to normal, and they thank them for this. They say it's their fault for delving too deep and exploring the temple, which they never normally do. They gladly let the players carry the stolen statue back to camp, back to the elven camp, which they do, and the elves are really grateful. They say they know they can help them out. They know that there's a camp to the southwest. The players quickly guess that's the one they've already explored. Do they know where any others are? The elves reply they don't, but the dwarves who gave them the statue in the mines to the north might be able to help them. And it's here where we ended this session. It was quite one of the longest sessions we've done, because quite a lot happened, even though I've condensed it down. I've left out a lot of specifics, but it's a really fun session. I'm really looking forward to the next one, which we are going to be playing hopefully tomorrow as the time this one goes out. So this one, they're going to go travel north and try and ask the dwarfs for where the lair is. But that's it for this one. If you liked it, have a like, have a subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next one, stay safe, take care.